Well, let's go live to Kyiv now and talk to Peter Zalmayev, who's director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative. Peter, good to talk to you again. So it's just gone 7 in the morning in Ukraine. What has the night been like?
Well, I'm just going to knock on wood, so far it's been quiet, but every passing car that makes kind of a noise reminds you of the or a missile whistle, kind of makes you jerk up. Just this very time, about an hour later, yesterday, I was woken up by that whistle, and 5 seconds later, sure enough, the sonic boom, 3 in quick successions. Vladimir Putin has threatened to escalate, to keep barraging Ukrainian cities with more rocket attacks, but so far it's quiet. Yesterday's attack, Forbes estimated, cost Russia up to $700 million. That's how much, Vladimir Putin threw at Ukraine, and that also shows his desperation. He's desperately needing to change the narrative of continuous losses and retreats in the battlefields, and so he's trying to show that something is happening and Ukrainians, are being, pummeled into submission.
As you say, it was just after 8 in the morning your time yesterday when this all started. I was actually interviewing Hugo Bashega, our correspondent at the time, when he had to take cover. Just talk us through the practical situation for you, Peter, because I know when the war started, you said you got your wife and your children to a safe place to the west of Ukraine. Are they back in the capital with you now? What is your situation?
Well, they were back in the capital over the summer, and then they, went elsewhere again. So they're not with me. They were not with me yesterday. They're not here today. I've, remain here and will remain here. One particular note of what happened yesterday morning. In the Shevchenko Park, Central Park, the playground where my kids used to play since they were, since they essentially were born. There was a large missile crater right on the edge of this playground. And it's been noted that of all the targets that we saw throughout Ukraine, over 50 missiles were said to have landed. None was an identifiable military object. All were civilian objects, and it is clear that the point is to increase the terror against civilians once again, because Vladimir Putin cannot achieve any significant military victories.
Well, just talk us through the impact of the last 24 hours then, because you say that's the strategy to increase the fear right across the country, because the missile attacks were right across the country, weren't they, as well as in the capital. So what impact will this have, do you think, going forward? In Paul Adams' report there, everybody seems to be back in that place of fear.
Well, there's obviously concern. I wouldn't say fear, and I wouldn't say panic. Ukrainians have grown obviously very resilient. There is no defeatist attitude to any extent here. If anything, there's more hatred for the enemy and more commitment to the fight, simply because Ukrainians have nowhere to go. The point of these attacks, other than to sow terror, was very practical, and that is to try to disable Ukraine's electricity grid, to essentially cast it into darkness. I think that plan was supposed to kick in closer to the winter months, the cold months, but since the Crimean Bridge, such a huge personal project of prestige for Vladimir Putin, was blown up a few days ago, this was an act of revenge. I don't think Vladimir Putin is going to succeed fully with this strategy. Ukraine produces a lot of electricity, twice the domestic demand, so it has some resilience built into the system. It's not going to be easy for Vladimir Putin to do it, but still, these are going to be very, very trying months. But it's going to be just as trying for Vladimir Putin. He's holding on for dear life to power. He's clinging to it. His elites around him are demanding this sort of action. So he needs desperately to show strength. And this is a signal to his elites that he's still in charge, but it also shows deep down, it shows his insecurity that he'll be able to cling to this power, simply because he's aims in Ukraine, his goals, have not been achieved.
Okay, well, it's good to talk to you again. Thank you, Peter Zalmayev from the Eurasia Democracy Initiative, and good to see you yourself safe and well, and your wife and children as well. We'll speak to you again soon.